Welcome one, welcome all to the podcast that shines the light on athletes past, future and present. This is their story. This is 2020 Vision. Hello and welcome to episode 34 of 2020 Vision. On this week's episode, we speak to Izzi Batt-Doyle. Now, Izzi started her athletics journey in Little Athletics, which paved the way for her to compete in the college system in America. In our chat, we talk about her lows and highs in her college experience, as well as what she's doing now with Team Tempo and Adam Didyk. Here is my chat with Izzi Batt-Doyle. I'm joined by Izzi Batt-Doyle. Now, Izzi, do you mind telling us how you started as an athlete?
Wow, it's a long way back, but I just started out doing Little Athletics in Adelaide when I was about 8 years old, and then that progressed to making state teams, mainly in cross country, and then, ending up over in the States when I was 18, running over in college, and now I'm back in Adelaide. So
what club did you start off with in Little Athletics?
Eastern Districts. Yeah, I'm not even sure if it's still running out of where it used to run, but yeah, that was when I was like 8 or 9. I jumped around a few different clubs in my teenage years, but then I was at Hills, which I'm still a part of, Hills District.
Beautiful. So tell us about the journey to the college circuit. So you were with Washington, was it?
Yeah, actually, so to go back a bit, I went over first and ran for St. John's University in New York. So I was there for my freshman year, and then half my sophomore year, I ran cross country there for a second season, and then I decided that I needed to transfer to have more of a challenge for my running, and then I made my way over to the University of Washington in Seattle, starting in 2016, and then just graduated this last June.
Okay, so what's the compared to like Australian athletics? What's it like for athletics over there in the States? For those that don't know.
It's extremely different. Yeah, it's crazy. I think it's hard to understand it if you haven't seen it, like watch races or be in the system. But just comparatively, like going from especially SA, where I was maybe the best runner at a lot of meets, going into cross country races where there's 300 people and finishing 130th and being like, oh my gosh, I'm not very good.
So it would have been a big growth and step up for you. What was the coaching like over there?
So I had quite a different experience because, as I said, I first went to St. John's University in New York, which is a Division I school, but it's in the Big East Conference, but it doesn't have a very strong distance program. So our coach was lovely, but it wasn't a great structured program, and I was actually the best on the team when I got there, so I was a little frustrated. That's why I ended up going over to Washington, where I had a much more structured and rigorous program and people to train with and coaches, which to start with was actually a bit much, and I had a lot of injuries through that time. So a lot of ups and downs, I guess, through that process. And then even at Washington, my coach stepped down amidst a bit of a scandal in my junior year, so my third year. So I've had a lot of different coaching changes.
Okay, so do you mind explaining to us what the season looks like when you head over to the States? Because I know they do a lot of indoor as well as outdoor. So what's it look like for you if you were to start your year?
So the start of the year there is the cross-country season, and that starts about September with a camp, in August, September usually, and then the racing doesn't start until end of September, October. You have nationals in November, NCAAs if your team or you individually make it to that meet, and that's about 300 people running, and it's a crazy, crazy meet. And then after that, you have a bit of downtime, go home for Christmas, and then gear up for indoor season, which goes through, really January, February, and March. Nationals, so that indoor nationals is in March, which I raced this last year in the 5K. And then you've got about 2 weeks, and then the first outdoor meet starts, which is Stanford. It's the main big one at the end of March, and then the outdoor season runs until June if you make it to the NCAA Championships in June. Middle of June. So it's a pretty long season. You're going track from, at least January, if not end of December, all the way through to June.
Yeah, of course. So let's talk about the amazing Adam Didyk, who has given the contact to you. Thank you to him. So Team Tempo, what do they mean to you?
So I was really lucky. Well, when I went to college, I left Australia, I left Adelaide, because for me, I didn't really have any running prospects that looked like they were going to kind of help me become a better runner if I stayed here. And I took the opportunity to take a scholarship over to the States because I thought that was the best kind of opportunity for me to grow, and it definitely was. But when I transferred and I came back to Adelaide for a couple of months, I connected with Adam and came out to Team Tempo and realised that, you know, there was a group, and there are groups in Australia that can give you that atmosphere and that kind of group environment and that growth as an athlete. So I was really lucky to connect with their group and with Adam. And then when I went back to the States, to Washington, the last few years, Adam's really been like a mentor to me. We've kept in top contact, you know, Skyping, FaceTime, chatting, texting before and after races. Not necessarily giving me like coaching, because I had a coach in America through that time, but just being like a sounding board for me, a mentor, and someone to talk to. And then after college, you know, I was dabbling with whether to stay in the States, join a team there, you know, continue or come back to Australia. And, you know, I chose to come back to Adelaide and train with Adam because, well, he's a great coach. He's had a lot of success. And in the short periods of time where I have had training done by him, when I was kind of in limbo between coaching changes back in Adelaide, I had really good results, you know, just with 3 months training with him. And I just feel like we click really well together, and I love what he's doing, and he's got a great group. So I'm lucky to be a part of that back in Adelaide.
Of course, well, that's awesome. You found something back home. Now, you've mentioned quite a lot that you've had those coaching changes. Do you think that affected your running at all and how you performed, or do you think it's just all in yourself?
I think it definitely did, because I've not had a continuous coach for, you know, more than 2 seasons. Because I was at St. John's for a year and a half. That was kind of all over the place. Then I had Greg Metcalf in America for 2 years, but I had 2 stints of injury during that time, and was kind of doing my own just cross training. And then I was so lucky that this last year, for my 5th year, so I was offered to do a 5th year. Usually you do the 4 years in America, but I broke my foot in 2017, and I was offered another year, you know, on scholarship, and I took that and got my honours thesis done for my degree, but also had another opportunity to race again. And that's my 5th year. The coaches who were previously at Oregon, Andy and Marisa Powell, they came to Washington as the head coaches. And so I was super lucky to have Marisa Powell as my coach for the last 6 months of my collegiate career. And it was the funnest and the best in terms of my running performances as well. So I do wish at times that I'd had her for a few years, not just 6 months, but what we had was awesome.
You got her eventually. So how did you go in regards to performance when you were over in the States? Yeah, so I went to the States, went to St. John's. You know, I won like Big East Championship in the steeple, not that much of a big deal. I lowered my steeple time down to like 10:05, which was pretty good. And then I went over to Washington, and big shock. Like, went from being first on the team to like 8th on the team, scraped my way onto the cross country varsity team for nationals. But I did end up making nationals individually in 2017 in the 10K, and I came 12th there. And then I was out the next year, but ran big PBs unattached, like 15:48 or something at Portland Track Festival. And then the following year, which was just this last year, 2019, Marisa was coaching me, and I'd had a stint back in Adelaide with Adam. And I broke the school record, 15:40 indoors for 5K, made the indoor championships for the 5K and came 12th. In like the most stacked field, I think they said, ever. It was pretty crazy. There's some really good girls over there. And then I won the Pac-12 championships in the 10K and ran a school record in the 10K, 32:20, and then came 3rd at the national championships in the 10K to some really good girls. And it ended up being a pretty international field. I think it was like Wayne's from an East African country, Carmela's from Spain, and it was me from Australia. So it just shows the depth in the NCAA and how international it's really become. Well, congratulations on that 10K effort there. May I ask, so you mentioned international there. You've had the chance to represent Australia. What was it like to wear the green and gold?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I've only had 2 opportunities so far, and they've both been World Uni Games in 2017 and World Uni Games this year in 2019 in Taipei and then Napoli. They were both amazing experiences. I mean, the first time especially just putting on the Australian kit, I really just soaked it up and enjoyed the experience. They were both very hard races because they were both in very hot places for a 10K on the track. But yeah, incredible experiences. I just love the fact that these events can take you to places that you wouldn't necessarily visit and have, incredible experiences.
That's okay. It may have been hot there, but it wasn't Dubai or anything like the World Championships that we had.
True. There's definitely always worse. That's what I tell myself.
So what was it like in regards to the competitors that you faced over there in the States? And of course, you've had some here in Australia. Is there anyone that you looked up to that made it has made it to that Olympic level?
Yeah, look, there's so many people, really. Of course, back in Adelaide, Jess Trengove is a huge role model to me, especially just having a baby too. She's amazing. She's really shown that you can do well back in Australia. You don't have to, go to America. You don't have to do anything crazy. She's done an amazing job back here and made Adelaide really, show it's a place that can have great runners.
Yeah, of course, and I think she's still actually looking at qualification, which is amazing.
Yeah, it'd be awesome to see how she goes. Had a run with her last week. I was on the Ultra G and she was on the treadmill next to me, so both getting back there. Good. Yeah.
So who else was there that you had in or around you during your time?
I was lucky to have some great role models above me. Not even just in terms of like how they raced or what times they ran, but just older girls above me to kind of be my big sisters and help me through the collegiate system and kind of just like show you the way. But obviously there are also amazing girls who I watched race while I was in America. I saw Dom Scott go through, Courtney Ferricks, girls like that who just raced amazingly at the collegiate level and then went on to, go professional and make teams and run really well on the world stage. That's pretty cool. I think I saw Emily Sisson actually at the Armoury break the indoor 5K record when I was a freshman. And she's someone that I've always looked up to as a runner. And then seeing her run London this year at 2:22, amazing.
Do you see yourself as someone that young girls can look up to in the sport of running or athletics?
Yeah, I hope so. I'm under the idea that I like sharing my story and I think that you have to be a little bit vulnerable to show people like what you're doing and I like to show people that it's not all like highlights. So yeah, I do get injured. It happens. It happens to everyone. I've looked up to people like Colleen Quigley who shares their story and shares their injuries and kind of shows people that it's normal to go through ups and downs. And even as a professional runner, you're going to get injured. And it's going to suck, but you can get through it. And I've had girls a lot of the time message me on Instagram and say like, thank you so much for sharing like your injury story and like your cross training workouts. Because of you, I got through my 12-week stress fracture and I biked these workouts and, I'm back running now. And just a message like that makes my day and it's worth me sharing my story when I get messages like that, definitely.
So what is your injury story and bounce back then? Because I know that you've mentioned injury.
Yeah, I've had a pretty tough go the last few years. So I didn't have any stress fractures as a junior. I was like all good, went to the States, didn't have any injuries really through my first few years. And then once I went to Washington, I think, my training just increased the intensity. I also was wearing Nikes, which just don't really suit my feet. And that's a whole other story. But I had, 2017, obviously I had like niggles and little things where I had 3 weeks off at a time or 2 weeks off. But really the big injuries, I've had 2017 at Nationals for cross country. I got a stress fracture in my navicular and 3 metatarsals. So I had 4 broken bones in my 1 foot after that race. And I was on crutches for a number of weeks. And then, I didn't run for 4 months for that. And I missed the indoor season, redshirted the outdoor season, which means I didn't run for the uni. I just ran unattached. And then I got back, raced at Izzi Bay 2018. Was doing really well. I ran like a fast time, and I was really excited for Zatopek the next year. And then unfortunately, I had one of my metatarsals in the same foot break during a track session, and so that was about a year after that first break. And then fast forward to 2019, this last season, I was running through plantar pain in May after I won the Pac-12 championships, and unfortunately, because I kept racing on it because I had to race regionals, then nationals, 10Ks, 3 10Ks and spikes in like 4 weeks, I developed a stress fracture in my right calcaneus. My plantar kind of pulled in my bone and developed like a hole or something. But I didn't realise, and I went to World Uni Games, raced another 10K on it. But this whole time, everyone's telling me, it's just plantar, take some ibuprofen, strap it up, you're all good. And eventually I had a scan, and it was not all good. So I'd kind of, really hurt my calcaneus there. So that's been the one that was kind of June, July this year that happened. And I had to take 3 months off running, and I'm now back in kind of the rehab reloading, which has been a slow process, and I was really hoping to run Zatopek this year because I've missed it the last 3 years now, but couldn't quite get there in time.
Well, you're a fighter, and you've come back. You are coming back, and that's good. So what's next for you then?
Well, I definitely had a lot of ideas about when I wanted to race, what I wanted to race, and trying to set goals to keep myself motivated. But what I found is that I really need to just let my training dictate my racing. So I'm just going to focus on getting healthy, getting back into doing sessions again, feeling good. And then once I'm at that point, then I'll kind of think about targeting, races and get specific. This year going into 2020, it was, it's an Olympic year. I would be kidding myself if I didn't say I wasn't going to be trying for the Olympics. I think, this last year my time put me third in Australia behind Sinead and Ellie for the 10K. So I thought, why not? I took like over a minute off my PB from the last time I raced it. So, why not go for it? But definitely with this injury setback, it's a bit more of a not an unrealistic goal, but a big jump forward to even consider thinking about that. So I'm just seeing where I'm at, and I'll race when I can, but I definitely want to get back to the top level of competing again, and think that I'll definitely get there at some point.
Yeah, of course. Well, it raises awareness to the point of concentrating on number one, which is you to be number one.
Yeah.
So as soon as you
absolutely.
focus on that, and then I'm sure you'll get there. You'll be wearing that green and gold in Tokyo. Is there any last words of advice that you could offer the young girls and even the young males that are coming through the sport?
Yeah, I think just to enjoy it, to make sure that running never becomes, not that it shouldn't become too much, because it can be a lot. It can mean a lot to you, it means a lot to me, but it can't be everything. It always needs to be fun. So whatever you're doing, make sure you're enjoying it. Make sure you're having fun with it, because at the end of the day, there's no point doing it if you're not enjoying it, if you're not having fun.
Of course. What's fun for you then if you take it away from running? What do you do for fun?
I love the feeling I get when I'm running. I just feel, it makes me feel alive. It's the reminder that I'm alive. I can move my body. It's just an incredible feeling that I don't get from anything else, and that's what I keep chasing, I guess.
That's a beautiful thought. Thank you very much for joining me for a chat.
Oh, thank you, Jordan. It was lovely to chat to you.
I appreciate it, and you have a good Christmas, and we'll hopefully see you on the track very soon.
Thank you, hopefully back healthy soon.
What an athlete. Thank you very much, Izzi, for joining me for a chat on 2020 Vision. And not only what an athlete, what a name as well. I had so much fun saying her name, Izzi Batt-Doyle. It just rolls off the tongue. If you've got some time today, why not try it yourself? It was amazing to hear her story and her journey as well in regards to her injuries and how she overcome that. And also the fact that she believes that she can be an influence on younger females in the sport. So I thank you very much again, Izzi, for joining me. And I thank you, the listeners, for listening to another episode of 2020 Vision, episode 34. Join me next week. Who knows who we're going to get?